Hello. It is about 3 o'clock, so we'll get going here. My name is Andrew Halpin. I'm president and co-founder of New Civic, and we are going to talk to you about how we do data with Drupal today. And it's my colleague, Federica Pelzel. Federica is our product director at New Civic, and without further ado, we will get going, and people will trickle in a little bit, I think, as we go. Um, So I'm just going to quickly give you an overview of the open data market and why we're doing data with Drupal, and then Federica is going to go a lot deeper in terms of what we built to enable data management use cases to be addressed with Drupal and why we think that Drupal is such a good platform to deal with data management use cases. So specifically, in the case of governments, where many of us have worked and work today, there's a whole lot of information that we produce and that we use in the course of our work, obviously. And a lot of that is available through Drupal websites now, right? A lot of public-facing Drupal websites as content. And what we've been really pushing on is not only thinking of that content as data unto itself, but helping to bring the burgeoning open data movement to bear through Drupal as well. And it's a big deal economically. Lots of big numbers thrown around in terms of the value, the economic value that opening up data can create. And U.S. federal government obviously has played a big role in this with U.S. Project Open Data mandating that all federal agencies open up their data. We've been doing it as a team, New Civic, our founders inside government since about 2009, where we built an open data portal with Drupal for nysenate.gov, where I put online how much money I made as a government CIO and where all the dollars were spent by the Senate. So we knew we could do this with Drupal, even as early as Drupal 6. And then in other places, besides the transparency use case for nysenate.gov, open data is used a lot for government operations innovation. So if you're able to visualize data, getting insights like in New York City, most of the noise complaints happen at night. So maybe you should hire the staff to respond to noise complaints for night shifts, not day shifts. And that seems obvious in hindsight, but until you visualize it, the story goes in New York City that they actually weren't doing that. Another case is civic engagement. In this case, putting out data about New York City restaurant inspections and having a developer build an app that alerted you if you're about to sit down at a place that had a bad inspection grade, so maybe you can choose to go somewhere else. So civic engagement with open data. And then finally, economic development, especially at the city level. There's a lot of app contests and hackathons that, including New York City now going into its 5th year, I think, with New York City Big Apps that open up data and have entrepreneurs building applications with that data, and in fact, new businesses and creating jobs. So this is really popular for all those reasons, and it's really happening worldwide at all levels of government. It's becoming ubiquitous, and you have open data portals at really all levels of government around the world. However, content management systems, including Drupal, have not historically done this work. Historically, it's been done by companies like Socrata, which have a proprietary software as a service app catalog software, another one that's proprietary software as a service called Junar, and the most widely known open source data catalog software is CCAN, which is part of a lot of national open data portals worldwide. And what we have done as a company after working with those software in various contexts with our clients is said that we think actually a content management system, and Drupal specifically, actually can, and for many reasons that we'll get into, should actually play the role of managing data as well, rather than being a content management system over here that gets integrated with one of those data catalog software that I just mentioned. So would you like to take it from here, or would you like me to continue? Go for it, Federica.
Hello. So picking up a little bit on what Andrew was saying, really the vision, even though today what we've been working on is a purpose-built open data portal, we really see the value in having every government content website be data-powered, and it doesn't make any sense to keep your data separated from all your other content when most of the things citizens or the people come to government websites looking for are data-answered questions. So with that as a long-term vision, we decided to build our open data platform called DCAN. And DCAN is fully open source, of course, built on Drupal. We use a lot of contributed modules. It's all open source. It's all on GitHub and Drupal.org. we've been working on it for about 2 years, and it's built on these principles that we've been talking about so far. It's also modularized, so if you already have a Drupal website and you just want to add the open data component, you can also do that because it's built in a very componentized way where you can just add a data store to your existing content site and be able to host data sets in your already existing Drupal government website. I don't know which slides are following.
I'll just jump through a couple of these. This is just showing you what you can do when you treat data as content. So on nysenate.gov, where we've got our experience inside government, for example, we had content like where was a legislative committee meeting going to be? Who are the senators that were responsible for raising different bills in that committee meeting? What time was it going to be happening? What was the geographic location? Stuff that's really data. Or even the URL of the live stream for that legislative session. So the real point here is that we've been managing data in Drupal for a long time, and it has metadata associated with it. It really is just data. And all we've been doing is extending the ability to manage data with Drupal into a way that it translates for the open data community and adheres to international open data standards. When you do it in that way, you get a lot of niceness out of Drupal by managing data with Drupal. Obviously, we get really good feedback loops and mechanisms to get user input, right? And when you apply that to data, that means you've got a two-way street rather than just pushing data out sort of anonymously through an API. You've got good search engine optimization because Drupal is good at that because it's published content for a long time. So people are more likely to find your data if you publish it through Drupal than perhaps a data catalog software, which is not as well, not as strong from an SEO perspective. Our front end, obviously, we have really good, relatively easy these days, responsive design to reformat for different devices. Again, you present your data through Drupal, you get that inherently, and of course, easy to share. So making data more social, making data more collaborative, really those are some of the opportunities that we see in doing data with Drupal.
Can I get out of the... One second. While we do this, can I ask how many of you are developers? And how many of you are government employees? Yeah, pretty balanced. Okay, so we'll have to aim to please everyone. Great. I want to show you a little bit of the product. Hopefully, I cannot read, so bear with me. I can read. I can't read that screen. I'm literate, I promise. Okay. This is not a good strategy. Great. So this is our demo. It's pretty much what the platform does out of the box. I want to show you a little bit around, but just give you some basic concepts first. For those of you who are developers and very familiar with Drupal, we've created several content types that cater to typical data users' needs, like data sets and resources, which are the data files, and also added some functionality around grouping those data sets and organizing them and creating intricate workflows around that called groups. In recent releases, we've also added a lot of new functionality in terms of look and feel customization and the ability for not so technical users to be able to have a portal that's their own without needing any developer help. And that goes above and beyond what we have so far, which is just changing the logo and the image, etc. It goes to the extent of being able to customize through panels, for those of you who are developers, through panels, all the layout and the elements that are displayed, not only in the homepage, but in other places of the site. So without further ado, so in the homepage right now, I have some groups. This is going to be really hard. Okay. I have here 6 of my groups of data, which are around fairly human readable topics. And if I click on one, I was able to click on one. It shows me a list of the data sets that are stored under that group. And then I can filter and narrow down that search to whatever I'm looking for. In this case, I don't have that many, so I'm just going to click on the first one. And then a data set just is conformed by a series of metadata and information about the data files that will be contained inside of it, which we call resources. In this case, this data set in particular has 5 different resources that are pertinent to the use case described. And a little bit below, we have some metadata associated with it. In this case, it's also using our discuss integration for comments. And another really interesting thing, we have our colleague and client here, Ursula from USDA, and some other federal clients. We've been doing a lot of work in complying with US Project Open Data in terms of their metadata structure and how to adapt to such a fast-paced, changing market of data standards and data schemas. And in that context, we've created a series of tools, but one which I find the most interesting we call Open Data Schema Mapper, which basically grabs different open data schemas and is able to map them to the different Drupal fields. And for those of you who that sounded like Chinese, it basically says that if your government requires for you to have a specific metadata structure or a specific fields of metadata to comply with policy, we can save that and we can create that for you without having to go into the code and kind of hack our platform for you to be able to do that. And for more broader cases like the federal government where that is reusable, we can store that schema and with a couple of clicks just enable that whole metadata structure for a site, for a new site. So this is great when it comes to opening up an open data platform that's compliant for a lot of different countries or levels of government or even specific use cases with a lot more complex metadata structures. So that being said, if I go click on Explore Data in one of my resources, we have some pretty low level, entry level preview tools. You can obviously preview the data as table and then just search for any terms that you want to filter the data, and also add specific filters like through UI around the different columns. And then here at the top, as you can see, I also have enabled the ability to graph what I already filtered. So in this case, I'm gonna pick a bar graph. I can barely. Okay. And I'm gonna chart county names against poverty, and that pretty much creates a column chart about the data I was just visualizing. One of the really interesting things that we've developed fairly recently is that this is updating the URL as you customize it. So you can share whichever state of the data you're visualizing in that moment with whomever you want. And you can also embed that wherever you want, whether it's a blog post or one of our data stories or data dashboards. Okay, the other built-in preview that we have are maps. And maps pick up the latitude and longitude of a data set automatically. And put them on a map. So here, as you see, I've enabled the map feature and it's grabbing for that. We also are compatible with GeoJSON fields. So if you have maps that have GeoJSON pins, those will be automatically picked up as well. All of this is great, and it's meant for end users in particular. So you're a user, you're looking for specific data, you want to see if that data is what you're looking for. You have some very basic tools that will enable and empower you to know if that's exactly what you're looking for before you download it or before you consume it via API. And we want to keep this simple and user-friendly and straightforward because of that reason. But as we built the product in the last few years, we've discovered that, not surprisingly, data visualizations are one of the strongest use cases around open data. So we started working on more complex, more flexible data visualization tools and data storytelling tools. This in the platform is two different things. One we call data stories, which are pretty much a blog, but with the ability to combine that with open data and visualizations either created in DCAN or externally. So in this case, I have an analysis of New York City's budget. And it features a D3 visualization by Chris Wong, which is not rendering great. I think it's a projector. And you can also obviously embed videos, text, whatever else you want, and have it all formatted in a blog way. And data stories can scale as much as you want in terms of what you can include in them. They're kind of multimedia, very old word, but useful in that sense. And then we have kind of one of our newest additions that we call data dashboards. I'll show you one in particular. Data dashboards are created by setting up a layout by clicking and dragging things around, and then including, it's optimizing for mobile. It's responsive. So basically you pick a layout and then you start creating charts. We've recently really worked hard on creating a very versatile charting tool that allows users to kind of go a little bit farther than what we've been offering in the previews in terms of customization, look and feel, and just making things really feel like they're tailored exactly for what they're trying to communicate at that point. In this case, this is a school report based on all the different grades and indicators that they measure. And all the different things are charted here and combined into a dashboard. This looks a lot prettier when it's not in mobile because it has a more diverse layout. But you get the picture. All of these charts are obviously dynamic, interactive, and can change according to whatever you decide to do. And this is super interesting because I would like to open another site now. What's my, Federica? Get me Civic.
You can demo that.
Ah. What? Sorry about this.
It's actually New Hands Dev.
Tell me, Federica?
Federica.newhandsdev.
This is Dan Fetter, one of the architects of DCAN.
DCAN demo.newhandsdev.com. It's worth it, I promise. While we do this, so what I'm trying to show you is some of the, yes, victory, we're done. Now I need another 5 minutes to log in.
One more detail. You saw before it does any civic data. That's just what we call just something we deliver as a civic support system. So it's all DCAN distribution. You can have it to just Google DCAN or
Okay, so I logged in as a user, as an admin user. I'm going to add a data dashboard. I just want to show you how my promises work in real life. So let's call it Drupal GovCon. And then we choose from one of our preset layouts, whichever you want. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Easy peasy. Click save. Get to it. And that creates a panel-based layout that's dynamic and really easy to use for non-technical users. That's the layout that I chose. I have dotted lines wherever I can add content. And from there on, I can choose charts I created or or new content. So in this case, for example, I'm going to choose visualization. I'm going to add for a local visualization that I created. I think I created a portfolio. There it is. And then you can set obviously the width and height. In this case, I'm going to keep it to 100% because I want to adapt to my file. I'm going to finish that, and it adds a chart I created before. This is also very drag and droppy, cool, and if I save it, the width will adapt to that as well. Kind of like it the other way though. This is not just for visualizations. We can add all types of content in here. Again, this is being really responsive. So this is what it looks like on mobile. I can't see. Does that say text? Yes. So again, let's both prices over time, which is the chart I created. And then here we can just add some further text. Modesty first. Anyways, again, finish. And this too, you can drag and drop around. This works this way for charts, visualizations that are created externally, like CartoDB, Esri, whatever else you're using already internally. You can combine all of this by just grabbing the URL for that visualization and bringing it in here. Images, videos, slideshows, pretty much whatever you might need to include in a visualization. And one of the most interesting things is these charts are consuming the data every time that you load this dashboard, which means that in this case, this is created from a data set that I have stored here in DCAN. And if I ever update that file and it gets new data, that dashboard and anywhere that visualization is used and featured will be updated with it. So if you have a DCAN site and you're managing your data, you only have to update it in that place, and just you can rest assured that wherever that is featured with our charts, it'll be updated automatically without any extra work. So that's pretty powerful, especially in, like I said before, our long term is for this to live within where government does content. But today, the reality is most data portals live in a separate place where the charts are going to go, or where the charts might end up. So it's really good to know that if you update the data in that government website page that's not really maintained by anyone very often, you can know that just by updating the data, all of that will be impacted directly. Great. I want to wrap up soon because questions are important, and there's also a very diverse group of people here. So I want to make sure that everyone has their questions answered. So that's dashboards. We can go over chart creations, but I think it might take a little bit too long. We can do that in like 5 minutes. Okay. So I want to go here to our command center and add a chart. That's not a chart, right? Another cool thing is that charts can consume data either from existing resources that are stored in DCAN, or you can consume from a Google spreadsheet, or upload your own CSV, or link to a CSV that exists somewhere else. And again, if this is linking to a CSV or a Google spreadsheet that is not in DCAN and that gets updated, it also impacts the charts and those get updated as well. So let's call this conference. Like I said, I can either upload a file, pick an existing resource. In this case, let's do the foreclosure one. Foreclosure by state. Okay, so I've chose a data set that I like. And now I can choose the series and the x-axis for that file. Next step is choosing what kind of chart I want. In this case, it's date versus thing, so I'm gonna pick a multi-line chart. And that'll work nicely. I have my preview there, and then I have like I said before, we were focusing on giving people more control and more ability to change and customize this to however they want. So we can change the color, do red and blue, add labels, rotate the other labels, and then maybe correct the margins so you can actually read what it says. Stuff like that. And once I'm happy with the way it looks, maybe too much. Once I'm happy with the way it looks, or almost happy with the way it looks, you just click finish, and it creates, for those of you who are developers, an entity on Drupal that can be consumed from pretty much anywhere else. And that's pretty much it in terms of our demo. I don't know if Andrew, if you have any wrapping thoughts, and then we can move to questions.
I did a really quick job by showing you the few places in the world where this distro is being used. Just to give you a sense, and this is very hard, so use it.
I can be honest.
So, one particularly notable one here in U.S. federal government is healthdata.gov.
No, you can get an A after an E.
Okay. We're all going to do an interactive training on how to do this later. I'm going to go do it.
It looks a lot easier than it actually is.
Yeah. Did I screw up? Okay. No. Okay. I'm also a Mac user, and I'm trying to use a Windows. I'm trying to use a Windows keyboard. So okay. All right. Pretty soon we're going to do Q&A, where this will not be an issue. Healthdata.gov. So this is, again, not the full width, but this is an interesting story for us because this was a Drupal site integrated with CCAN, which is a Python-based open data catalog used in a lot of places, including data.gov, where it's CCAN and WordPress. But HHS is having experiencing a lot of technology debt in that integration of two different open source pieces of software. In other words, one's in Python, one's in PHP. Drupal has a much larger community. They get upgraded in different ways at different paces. And so actually trying to innovate on top of the platform is hard because you're trying to maintain this sort of Frankenstein integration of two things. And that's all well and good if you have a good Python team, a good Drupal team, and you are up for that. But now with DCAN, you can just sort of do it all in a single piece of well-architected Drupal 7 software. So we changed it over from that hybrid to just DCAN, and it essentially does what it did before, except now you just got a single piece of software to deal with, and so now we're going to be able to extend it with a lot of the community and collaboration and storytelling components that DCAN is good at because it's Drupal. So that's some place to keep watching. There's a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming over the next couple months there. Also, just a sneak peek of a talk that you'll get in much more depth tomorrow from Dan Feder and Ursula here in the room is the National Agricultural Library at USDA. Did I do that wrong? Probably. What's going on? All right, one more chance. Yeah, right. One more try and then.
That's a very different song.
Yeah. Okay. One last try. Yeah. Okay. That's not it either. What is going on? Yeah? Okay. So this just gives you a sense of how different a DCAN platform can look. Because it's Drupal, if you know how to theme Drupal site, you can retheme DCAN and make it look very different in a lot of ways. And then another cool thing that I'm just really excited that we've been able to work with USDA on is there's a really extensive data dictionary associated with agricultural data in the US. There's a lot of custom schema herein. It's US Project Open Data compliant, but also a lot that's specific to ag science. And again, Ursula and Dan will tell you a lot more about this tomorrow and how this is built and how this is extended. One final one that I'll just show you to show you how different things can look and some places where DCAN is used. In these cases, healthdata.gov and USDA NAL are working with us as a company, but there are a lot of other examples in the world, like the national government of Italy, which are using the DCAN distribution, and not our client, so they can just do it because they have a Drupal team, and it looks really different, and it's awesome. So it's really becoming a global project in its own right. It's all Drupal, but the DCAN community is becoming somewhat significant as well. So that's all of our talking, and let's open it up to questions. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about accessibility?
Sure. Do you want to handle that? And also, Dan, maybe you should come up as well as somebody who's actually one of the DCAN lead architects, Dan Fetter. And yeah, we'll field those. Who's the most 508 savvy person? Dan, have you done it? Go for it.
So all our out-of-the-box products are tested for 508 compliance. From then on, if we're building anything extra, then that's kind of up to you in terms of what it is. But our product itself is built according to 508 compliance, and then obviously we can cater it for any extra accessibility needs when.
So the charts that are generated, do they have tags that are coming in the background?
Yeah, we're in the process of adjusting the charts for 508 themselves, but they are generated dynamically, and I can't. If you analyze the code, I think it'll show some stuff. Is this Internet Explorer or Chrome? Okay. I can't see. Okay. This is hard to show,
yeah.
But they should be reflecting the data on the inspector themselves. They still have some spells and extra things that might make it a little bit confusing for a reader, but in general, it's all nothing is static, so that it can be consumed.
So when pulling data from an external source for starting with that, what are the options there? Is it something that has to be in the URL, or can you pull from like file or
So right now, it depends more on the format that the data is on than where it can be stored. We can consume CSVs from anywhere. If you have a URL, you just paste it there and it does that. We've also created the ability to be compatible with Google Spreadsheets. So if you have a public spreadsheet, again, you can just paste the URL and it will consume it directly. We are working a little bit harder now as a next step to be able to consume JSON, which is one of our next steps in terms of data consumption for charts. But right now, it's either existing DCAN resources, so things that you already have on DCAN, new CSVs that you upload, existing CSVs anywhere in the cloud, or Google Spreadsheets. Yes? They are kind of D3 based. They use a little bit of recline.js, which is the library that we use for our previews, combined with another JavaScript library called MVD3. So the MVD3 does use some of the D3 components, but we needed to add another layer over D3 to make them reusable and customizable, whereas D3 is a little bit more purpose-built visualizations. But there is some D3 in there. Yes?
For really massive data sets, are the things that you can bring server side
Yeah, so really massive data sets are not gonna really work here. Usually the recommendation for really massive data sets is to have an API, and whatever that API outputs, you can chart. But yeah, it's not, we haven't tested it with really big data sets, but it's not built for the terabyte range.
One of the top really spatial data, we have integration with CarlyDB, which is very cloud-based, hostess database in the cloud, and so once someone walks, for example, they have a whole lot of points, but you want to remember really beautiful map, but have that be And in general, I guess maybe just one thing to say about our strategy, and I think we've talked about this in my opinion, is just that we try to build up to a certain level, doing 80% of the things that 80% of the people that we work with want to do, even within DCAM with a fully open, well-architected, well-maintained stack. And we recognize that there are really great purpose-built tools to do a lot of very specialized things, whether it's Tableau or whether it's Esri or whether it's PromoDB, that people are obviously going to use, and either because they already know how to use them, they've already paid for them, or because they're better at out of the box doing the very specialized thing that we want to do. So the data visualization entity of what we built is designed to basically be an easy point of integration with any of those third-party, particularly data visualization tools. And this does not replace Tableau, for example, but it does mean in a lot of cases you don't necessarily need to invest in a proprietary technology to do a lot of what you might want to do. Instead, you can kind of get that evaluation on merits. And if the answer is yes, we provide good points of integration. If the answer is you can do it natively within what meshes with DCAM, then so much the better.
Yes.
You mentioned there, what did you call it, pecan with the Python one?
CCAM.
So and you mentioned you chose to create on Drupal because Drupal has more of a community, or were there other considerations?
There's a lot. I think from the technical side, full disclosure, we were a Drupal-oriented company. But it came down to a point where a lot of our clients or colleagues implementing CCAN were having a hard time customizing it. And pretty much everyone who works in government knows each government office, each government agency is one of a kind. Everyone has special needs. Everyone has that one request that would completely change their lives. And doing that with Drupal is so empowering and so flexible that we saw it as a great opportunity to build that. As well as picking up on what we said before about really seeing the potential to have content and data live in the same website in the long term and have those empower each other and kind of live harmoniously together in a single stack platform is kind of the dream in terms of people who do this.
Yeah, just a couple more things about that. And so we certainly, we love CCAN, by the way. We help fund the CCAN Association, and we contribute code to apply.js, which is used both in CCAN and DCAN. So we're huge fans of it. If you have a Python team and what you want is a purpose-built data catalog that's open source, absolutely go with CCAN if you don't want to do these other things around the data. That said, the other strength of Drupal, aside from the additional content community management functionality and extensibility, is that it's just got a really big community, not just on the developer side, but also on the vendor side. So the ability to actually get a service level agreement that is really robust for 24/7 support, that's harder to get with CCAN than it is with Drupal, for example. Not just because of us, but because of lots of firms, right? And companies like Apple that do a lot of federal grade hosting as well. So there's that. It's just harder. You have to be more on your own with a smaller open source product. And just a lot of the universe of Drupal content related modules are really relevant to data management needs too. So, a lot of people need some sort of workflow around approving data sets for publishing. There's a bunch of Drupal tools where we're working with, getting the workbench module hooked up with DCAN and have a sort of logical way of, having supervisor people, push data sets along the pipeline to be available publicly, just like you would blog posts or magazine article. Things like the migrate module make it really easy to do data federation with different sources and have this kind of existing infrastructure for migrating data into Drupal. It's a big win for people that are trying to extend the platform a little bit.
Yes.
I already have a Drupal site, and I'd love to be able to include that ability to create those visualization entities. Is that available as a feature that I can plug into an existing site, or is it only available with the DCAN distribution?
Yeah, the visualization entity module, the reason it's not namespaced under DCAN, it's a both visualization entity and
Charts.
Oh,
open data schema network, and stuff. Those are all modules that work independently. So, with DCAN, you kind of want to take a bunch of settings out of the box, and it's really easy to get started, but they all work pretty well on that.
Any other questions?
Cool. Well, come to, if you want to go deeper, come to Dan and Ursula's talk tomorrow at 2 p.m., which is 2 to 2:45, which is going to go into U.S. Product Open Data Standards and other data standards in a pretty deep way, and how you can meet those with Drupal, including DCAN, but also other approaches as well.
Or find us and talk to us.
So thanks so much, and I'll put up some follow-up links.
You can try. Here.
Can you put it?
No.
Okay.
People are gone.
Yeah. No.
It's done.